buzzing like all day about this. I don't know what.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's a reason for this. The first two pieces we're playing an all Beethoven program. The first half is his Opus 5 cello sonatas. He wrote them at the same time for himself and a very famous cellist, performer, composer of the time named Duport. And they played these pieces for the King of Prussia in Berlin in
1795.
1795. The reason I'm talking tonight is because I don't want to fill Andrew's head any more full with facts and figures, because he's going to be on the Jeopardy Tournament of Champions in a couple of weeks, and that is absolutely true. So watch for Andrew Haringer to bring it on. So 17, thank you. This was in Berlin, in the court of a king who was a cellist, but not good enough to play this music. But he had a cellist to play it. So I can just imagine Beethoven and Duport putting on their nattiest tires and it's all gonna play for the king tonight. My music. It's so exciting. So you can imagine in the setting, people have been wined and dined, and everybody is dressed, to be there for the king. He wasn't a great leader or anything like that, but he loved classical music, so these events were always pretty popular. And his uncle was also a classical music, a flute-playing king who played with Bach a generation before. So there was an awful lot of music going on in this court, and by the time it was Beethoven's time, he was like 25, I think, at this point. Duport was a little bit earlier, and they were performer composers. Okay? This was the age of the performer composer. Beethoven's career as a performer composer was cut short by his deafness. And this is the reason that he became the great composer that we all know. If he had just kept on being a performer composer and, making his living like that, he would have played music that he was, able to play. And he didn't do that after a certain point. He wrote very difficult music toward the end of his life. But this is when he was fully a performer composer. You could hear everything that you were saying. He'd be able to me, talk about my cello or whatever. And so this was the performer composer. We're going to hopefully play an encore for you. The Largo from the Chopin Sonata, which is by another performer composer whose career was cut short because his life was cut short. So he parallels Beethoven a little bit in this way, except of course Beethoven lived to be the great composer. A final note about Duport. It's Jean-Louis Duport, who is the younger brother, not too young, too much younger, a little bit younger, of another cellist named Jean-Pierre Duport, and they were great cellists of their age, performer composers. As I said, they were no doubt dressed in their finest, and I have no doubt that Duport played his beautiful Stradivarius for the king, which became known as the Duport Strad, and stayed in France, was owned by a cellist named Franchomme, who the Chopin Sonata was written for. They were lifelong friends until Chopin died. Franchomme is the dedicatee and the reason it's been written. Duport was also a performer composer, as I said, and his Strad was copied by a man named Jean-Baptiste Vuillaume of that Strad, and this is it. So this is a first-hand copy made in around 1850 of the Duport Strad, which was owned by Duport and Franchomme and Servais and Mstislav Rostropovich most recently. It's the most famous cello in the world, and it's currently in a vault. So I can't get the Duport Strad, but I do have an exact copy of the Duport Strad, which means that we're 3 degrees separated from both Beethoven and Chopin, since Franchomme owned the Duport Strat as well. So I hope you enjoy these pieces. I'll say a few words about the A major sonata, the third sonata on the second